Alrighty, welcome back. Welcome back. Second stream of this year. Um, so yeah, welcome back. Okay, where did we end on the last stream? Mm, I don't remember very well where we ended, like on the last stream. But I know for sure we were done with authentication. But before we even go there, I think um, yeah, there was some trending news or some good news on um regarding what's new, like on in the AI space, right? I saw that Claude actually launched their code review functionality, um, and I haven't really went through the whole blog post, but I saw a couple of people like reacting to to the article itself and the launch of Claude Code Review. And one thing that I picked is that obviously it's expensive. Like reviewing a single pull request is around about 15 to $25, which is super expensive. And the review itself, it's not of good quality as well. I saw someone talking about that like on X, like today. Like the review itself, it's not of high quality because the person who was actually reviewing or the post that I was actually reading today, the guy was explaining that after the whole review, Claude actually resolved like minor issues, but it was unable to resolve like high priority bugs as well, which got me thinking like, is it really worth it like to pay like 15 to $25 for like a single pull request? And I was also thinking like, why is it super expensive? Is it because the agent itself is using a lot of tokens, or is it just uh, Anthropic trying to take advantage of this AI bubble or this AI hype that is going around right now? And one other thing that was on my mind was that if you are vibe coding and using Claude to vibe code, then create a pull request, then allow Claude to fix its own mistake. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, it doesn't make sense. Imagine you are building a feature and you decided that, okay, fine, I'm just going to delegate like an agent to build this feature for me. Then, after building the feature, I'm going to delegate another agent to review the same code that was written by Claude. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Unless if maybe you wrote the code, then you want Claude to review your code. That makes sense. Actually makes sense. But then delegating an agent to review code that was written by an agent, it just doesn't make sense to me. Because imagine if like a single pull request cost around 15 to $25, then they might take advantage of you because maybe the first pull request Claude won't be able to pick like banning issues within your code itself. Then you will have to create another pull request again, use Claude code or Claude code review to review the same code. Like, I feel like they're just wasting our time, taking advantage of this AI bubble that is going around. And yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. But maybe let me just go through let me, I think I did bookmark it on X. So, yeah, so this is the article, right? And this is how it works. Just go back. I don't know, is this desktop app or it looks like the desktop app actually. Yeah, it actually looks like the desktop app. Create pull request. I mean, is there no way for Claude like to review my code before I even push to GitHub or to any yeah, there should be a way to do that. Okay, so agents search for bugs in parallel, verify each bug to reduce false positives, and rank bugs by, okay. You get one high signal summary comment plus inline flags. Right. Reviews generally average between 15 to $25 built on token usage and they scale based on PR. Okay. I don't see myself using this like anytime soon. Yeah. But anyway, back to what we were building. So let me just check where we left off because I don't remember. But I think what we actually did, like on the first stream, was just authentication. It was just authentication, I think so, if I remember very well. It was just authenticating, then after authenticating, redirect to um, the dashboard. I believe so. Let's see, we have here. Yeah, but I don't think we did much. I think it was just authentication. So I think today what I can work on is basically uploading a file because I don't want to stream like more than 2 hours today. So I think the best thing is just to find like a quick feature that I can work on, which is basically uploading a file, and I'll basically use R2, Cloudflare R2, with AWS, yeah, AWS package. So I think That's the best thing to work on today. Let's see. Okay, so we have this. Then if we go to app, we have that. Then yeah, you have your workspaces, which you can create a new workspace. New workspace. Let's just see or validate if this is actually working. Create new workspace. There we go. Create. All right, cool. Now I think we can start with the sidebar. We're just going to be quick. We can reference Shetsy and blocks. There's no need to think about this too much. It's just a matter of referencing this. Then we're good to go. So obviously on the sidebar, what we need, let's see, I think this will work because at a later stage we might need a search button where you can search stuff across your workspace. Then after the search button, we'll need upload file. Then after these buttons over here, then we'll have your chats. Then at the bottom, we'll need something like this, which you can navigate to your account, and you can also log out as well. So, okay, fine. Navigation, which is this. Components, layout. Then let's have main, nav, rate, export. Have a list of all the menu items that we need. Which we can do it here, or rather let's let's call it config dashboard. See, ref. think ref is optional. Yeah, ref is optional because some of the menu items will need a ref. I mean, yeah, will need an href. So the search button, yeah, we'll just need an icon here. Then icon, free icons, search. One, interesting. Okay, icon svg object. SVG. Let's use this as a type. Then use data store. Then let's see. Let me just copy the whole thing back here. But then with base UI, we don't use as child, but rather we use render. Do to remove this. Have to render. Cool. I think the next thing we need a data store route. So data store. Interesting. One thing that I forgot is that actually Shetsi, they actually made an update. I think it was on Saturday. They actually made an update, which is pretty cool. And one thing, so I went through this update on Sunday evening, and the one thing that I like is that now when you want to create a project, like there's a couple of options, like you can use, like, I think before it was just Next.js and 10 Stack Start. I think before. I might be wrong. But Astro, React Router, Laravel, and Vite was not there um, before. So if you wanted to scaffold like a project using this project feature from ShedCNUI, you were some kind forced to use Next.js or TenStack Start, right? But they have like other options, which is pretty cool, you know, which is pretty cool. And the other thing is, if you want to create like a monorepo, especially for, I don't know, with yeah, with Laravel, yeah, obviously you don't have like an option to scaffold like a monorepo app, um, or like a monorepo code base, if I can put it that way. But with Vite, you can create a monorepo, which is going to, like, when you create a project, then your UI package will be separate from your project itself. Then you'll have like a Vite um, app, web app. Then you will have um, your UI, which is going to be more like a package. Actually, it is a package. It's going to be a package. So, it helps that the separation of concern there. So you have like your UI package, like on a separate package, then you can just import that into your application, you know, which is pretty much cool. I tried using what's this? TenStack start with a monorepo, but then when I scaffolded the project itself, like there were some weird files that were generated within that project, you know, which I would like to think that they fixed that because I tried that like on Sunday evening. I'm sure by now they did fix that. And yeah, man, I think Shetcn is the best UI component library. Um, I mean, I see a lot of people are creating like UI libraries, which is pretty cool. But in order for you to get users to move from ShedCN or developers to move from ShedCN to your own UI component library, it's going to be a mission because I think ShedCN is flexible, although it's you although you are forced to use other primitive libraries such as your base UI and Redux, it's still cool. It's still cool. But there's this other guy who's creating something that is similar to Shed CNUI, but then you don't have to, be forced to use like primitive libraries such as your base UI, your Redux. So it gives you like more, I'm looking for the word, but can't find it. But then it gives you like more freedom to style your your components without even relying on other primitive UI libraries such as your base UI, which is pretty much cool. I just forgot the URL itself, but hopefully, like on the next stream, I'll definitely show you the URL. Um, so yeah, but I think I can find it, right? Let me see if I can. UI something like what's the library again? What's the name of the library? Sure. Nah, I forgot it. But hopefully, like in the next stream, like I'll get that. I'll get that. Like it's more similar to Shetsi and UI. It's more similar to that, but it's pretty much cool. It's pretty much cool. Or rather, let me do this. I'm sure I can find it somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. maybe one day I'll use it like on my project. Just that right now I've already started like a project using ShadCN. Um, sure one day I'll try it. Okay, let's see. Is it? Where is? Found it. Actually found it. Okay, there we go. Let me put it here. So yeah, with this one, um, like even with Vue, you can use it. And there's a couple of frameworks that ShadCN UI doesn't support. Um, which is, yeah, I think on my next stream maybe I might try to use it and see how it works, you know. But just looking at it, you can see that it's pretty much cool. It sort of like looks like ShadCN UI. You can come with your Tailwind glasses and try to, style however you want these components, which is pretty much cool. And whenever I am checking out like a new component libraries, right? My go-to components or the components that I check first is the button. Always check the button and I always check the model or the dialogue. But it seems like this guy hasn't created the dialogue as yet. Um, yeah, it seems like there's no dialogue as yet. Because but the button is there, which for me it looks amazing. Let's see, group buttons looks amazing. Oh, there's an empty state, looks amazing. Tabs, amazing. But yeah, I'll try it one day. I'll try it one day. Anyway, back to what we were trying to do. I think I was trying to import this breadcrumb. Right. I think this, yeah, I think we can remove this for now. We'll see this later. Did I mess up something? Did. So let's comment out the breadcrumb. So as well. We'll see this later. So yeah, I think what I need is when I collapse, collapsible, we need an icon. I really don't know why I care much about design like these days. I care about design these days, which is if you want to create a project real quick, you don't really have to care about design. But for some reason these days, I just care about design. Just care about design, which is becoming a problem. just becoming a problem. Yo, what's up? What's up, man? All good. I'm all good. Cool. Right. So we have our basic nav options over here. So I think what we can do right now is start. Um, so we have our basic nav bar. We also have the route itself. So I think what we can do right now is start defining the schemas. I think that's what we have to do. Linux. No, I haven't tried it. What's that? Is it an operating system? Linux? Obviously it is. Look, man, I'm a Windows guy. Uh, I've tried using Mac OS as well. Not really a fan. I'm a Windows guy. But I think if you're talking about operating systems, or Linux is an operating system. Oh yeah, I've used Linux, Ubuntu. Um, Maybe just describe what are you talking about? Basically it's a kernel which has OS derived from it. Now I've never used it. Um, why are you asking? Or maybe are you using that Linux distro that you're talking about? I've never used it before. It isn't good for coding. Not too sure. I don't want to lie. Um, I don't know if it's not good for coding. Like I said, I'm a Windows guy. Um, yeah, I'm a Windows guy. Maybe I need to explore a bit, maybe just try your Linux and so forth. And yeah, maybe I just have to explore and try new tools because I've been using Windows since from Windows 95, 98, Windows Vista, Windows 2002, was it? Windows 2002. Yeah, exactly. Like Windows is easy. I don't want to complicate my life, by learning like a new operating system. I think with Windows I have what I need. Uh, I don't actually do ethical hacking. Uh, I'm just a developer. So yeah, I think with Windows I'm all good. I'm all good. All right, so I think now we need to define the schema, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull Mr. Claude code right here. Then plan. As a user, I want to upload a memory usage. Damn. As a user, I want to upload resources in a form resources. I want to upload resources in my data store. Resources acceptable upload is PDF for now. We will extend later. So the first task is to define a convex schema. Just for more information, we are going to load files. Cloudflare to packet AWS S3 node package, right? Use and stack start and convex best practices. I think it's always important to specify that the agent must use like best practices, especially if you have what do you call this? You have installed skills, right? It's either maybe you've installed skills globally or on a project level. Then the agent will actually look at those skills. So skills are basically markdown files with instructions that the agent will use. So people have been creating skills like for frameworks. It's either frameworks or programming languages or whatever. Like you create skills, then you list all the best practices of that particular framework or whatever. Then the agent will look at those skills because sometimes the agent might you know might not write code that is of high standard, and it's kind of frustrating sometimes. So I always like mention that the agent must use like whatever framework best practices as long as I have installed those skills either globally or on a project level. But because like I've been exploring much with 10 stack start and convex as well, so I've installed those skills like globally, like on a global level, so I don't have to install all over again when I create like a new project, which is pretty cool. So let's see, okay, as a user I want to upload resources in my data store. Resources acceptable for upload is PDF for now. We will extend later. So the first task is to define a convex schema. Just for more information, we are going to upload files using Cloudflare R2 with AWS node package. Use 10 stack start and convex best practices. Yes, nice. Now we can do our stuff here. Right. Um, yes. It's taking time, but I just hope it's going to do the right thing. I just hope we are going to get the right output. So basically, it's just creating a schema. So what's going to happen is that the first thing that we're going to do, going to upload the file on R2 from the client. Then R2 will return a key. Then we'll store that key, file name, and a couple of things. I think that's all. It's basically all. Just have to check something here. Right. So let's see. T tenancy, yes, great. Session ID, which is your workspace ID, uploaded by, which is the user ID. the name of the file, the display name, file type, or MIME type, the size, R2 storage key, the status, optional description, error message, timestamp, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's basically what we need. So I think we can continue from here. Right, so it's done. Let's just see what we have here. Let's see, converge. We have a schema. Blah, 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 blah. We don't need those comments. Why? Do you write unnecessary comments? We don't need this. I mean, this schema is well defined. So why will you need comments? It's well defined, right? Just have to upload that. Yes, the tendency that great. This is looking good. So now the next thing is to go to one dev. Cool. Looks good. Dev. Let's see what actually was generated. Data. did we generate this? Interesting. Schema is not defined. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Now, what's the next thing? Push. Flex. Flex core. So first things first. This is going to be flex. Justify train items. Center. Then on the right, have div gap to items dot center. On database. Store. Okay. Then on the right, basically going to have it because button load It's just going to be a button. Maybe let's get a circle close. Okay, cool. So this button will trigger a let's see, resources. This button will trigger a model. Uh, load resources. Should I say resources or resource? Let's just say source. So dialog. Model is things of the past. It's actually things of the past. Source. Is that port dialog from the UI? Seems like we don't have dialog. Interesting. You want to override button? No. Very cool. Let's see dialog. Now we have a dialog. Since we are not going to use dialog trigger, I definitely need a props over here. Props. Then is open. Or maybe do I want to use like a dialog trigger? I think it's way better to use a dialog trigger. If you think, nah, actually no. It's open. Set is open, yeah. That. Then that. Yep. The dialog content. Title. Load resource. Yeah. You know what we can do, right? There's no need for us to you have to work on the load dialog upload resource dialog. For now, the max size will be 10 MB. Need a nice track and but must also uh, select a file size validation. It's way better to use Zord with a React form hook and what? Zord resolver. So yeah, this looks great. We can work with this. Now let's see what Claude is cooking. Allow Claude to cook. Yes. Yes. But the funny thing about Claude, if you actually tell it to commit your code, right? Like, let's say maybe you are building, you want to build like more than 10 features at once, and you tell it to like, after each feature or after each step, commit my code. The thing is, all your commits are going to reflect as Claude, as in they were committed or written by Claude or contributed by Claude, like on your GitHub. Like when you commit something or when you, yeah, when you commit something, right? Obviously, your name or your username will appear on GitHub, right? But then if you tell Claude to commit your code after executing each step, then Claude will actually appear on your commits, as in Claude contributed on this, which is a funny thing. I don't know why. They just want to be everywhere, like with Anthropic, with Claude. They just want to be everywhere. Like when they review, then Claude will tag itself that this was reviewed by Claude. It's just one of the funniest thing on earth, man. They just want to be anywhere. They just want to be anywhere. So, which means for those that are still, creating like portfolios where you have to kind of show your potential employer that you have the skills to build something, then that will expose you because Claude will actually flag that, hey, actually, I contributed on this. This guy did not build this. I actually contributed. But it's just funny, man. It's funny. Right, so let's see what Cloud is talking about. Okay, a drop zone, upload icon, like that. Select file icon, I like that. Remove file, perfect. That's what we need. Um, Verification, yes, of course, you have to verify npm dev, no errors. But the thing is, I'm running my dev environment right now, so it's going to be like we're going to have like conflicts. Okay, cool. Let's see now. Why do you want to install React from Hook? Obviously, because I don't have that package, so I have to install it. It needs to be installed. Right, what else do you want to install? We definitely need to install Zord for validation. I don't think I did install Zord, but yeah, we need to install that. Mm, we also have to install what else? Zod resolver as well. Cloud is cooking. What are you cooking on the button? What are you cooking, Claude? On the button. Please don't modify my UI components. Don't modify. I wonder how long it will take to like build a fully functional app using Claude without even writing any code or reviewing code. I wonder how long it will take. And thinking about that, I mean, talking about that, right? So Cloudflare actually created a better version. I'm looking for a word to actually say this, but let me just say a better version of Next.js, and they actually use Claude. For some reason, they actually use Claude without writing any code. I think how much did they spend? I don't remember the exact amount, but they spend like a lot of money in order for them to build like the whole uh, what is it called? Is it VNext? Yeah, I think it's called VNext. 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 Yeah, it's called VNext. Which I just that I don't use Next.js anymore. I was going to try it, and see how it looks, but I mean they did specify some benchmarks here. Um, so the production build time, Next.js 16, um, using Turbo Repo. um, is 7.38 seconds. And VNext with V7 and roll up is 1.6x faster than Next.js 16 Turbo Repo, and roll down is 1. No, roll up is 4.64 seconds, which is 1.6x faster. Then Vite with Vite 8 roll down. Production build time is 1.67 seconds, which is 4.4x faster than Next.js 16 with Turbo Repo. It's very interesting. It's interesting stats. And I mean, it kind of makes sense for someone to create like a Next.js version, but not using Turbo Repo, but just using Vite. Because to be honest, Turbo Repo is super slow. Like, I hate Turbo Repo. The reason why I moved from Next.js to 10-stack start with Vite is because of Turbo Repo. Obviously, because of the security stuff that was coming up, like early this year, there was a lot of security stuff coming up around Next.js. That's the reason why I moved to um, what do you call this? To 10-stack start. But the funny thing is, with mono repos, especially with Turbo Repo, actually, if you want to use like Turbo Repo, which is a mono repo type of vibe, then you're forced to use TurboPack, right? So if you don't know how to set up like a mono repo just using npm, I mean pn, pn, pm, then yeah, so if you don't know how to set up like mono repo workspaces, then uh, obviously you'll be forced to go for Turbo Repo, which is going to be a disadvantage for you. So I think it's kind of worth it to learn, especially if you are more into this JavaScript frameworks. It's kind of beneficial actually to learn how to set up mono repos, or learn what actually happens behind the hood without not just scaffolding like projects. Because I think one thing that people always forget learning, or one thing that people always overshadow is, okay, I can just scaffold a project, but then they don't actually know what's happening behind the hood, which is a disadvantage, because you might find yourself in a workspace where you are told that, hey man, can you set up a project using this and this and that? Then what you only know is scaffolding, which is kind of, I think people need to learn that. Okay, let's look at this guy. What are you saying? Okay, I'll just say yes. I mean, there's nothing much that it did, but one thing that it did that I don't like is actually using dialog trigger. I don't like that. I don't like using dialog trigger. I prefer handling my own state of the dialogue without even the need of having like dialogue triggers and whatnot and whatnot. Yeah, it looks good. Do you? Okay, yeah, I mean, it it's not bad. I like it. If I try to upload something, let's see. I mean, yeah, it looks good. Basically, one thing that we need to do here is okay. Okay, this is not working. Okay, I'll be back now. Okay, so just close this for now. So now the issue, we have one issue here. Right. Okay. Something is not working. Issue is that reset field may not what? Okay, let's try again. thing. When I remove the file, the display name is not getting removed. Funny enough, I actually haven't checked out what Mr. Claude wrote. Let's check it out. Let's see. All right. So we have a maximum file size constant. Then we have a schema. Then can we not use functions, please? Strip extension. That the upload button disable state must be controlled. Validation. Right. Cool. I think now we have the model, which looks good. Heck, why is this still disabled? Shouldn't shouldn't be like that. Can do. Maybe let's just leave it for now and just connect this to it. Store. Resource. Then commit this. Then now we can go to plan mode. Using convex and stack start practices. We want to implement the upload functionality. So the plan is to upload files to Cloudflare R2 using AWS S3, then save the uploaded file to the DB. So take into consideration so think of to the just remove this. All right, cool. So using Converge 10 step start best practices. We want to implement the upload functionality. So the plan is to upload file to Cloudflare R2 using AWS S3 node. Let's save the uploaded file to DB. Yeah, this makes sense. This makes sense. So I guess now it's just a matter of seeing, or rather just reading the plan from Cloud Code. If we do agree with the plan, then we'll go ahead with it. If we don't agree with the plan, or maybe we want to add more context, then we can do that. But I think the prompt itself covers everything that I have like in mind, or it actually covers the flow of the upload functionality. Obviously, like when you upload, but then we're gonna get into that like later. Like when you upload, what I want to do is I want to extract all the text within that document. So I'm going to use like Data Lab. I don't know. The last time I used Data Lab, they didn't have like a Node SDK. Yeah, the last time I used Data Lab, they didn't have like a Node SDK. They only had a Python. Sorry, they only had like a Python SDK. No, I don't want to log in, man. Come on. Just want to see what packages you have. Unless if I have to log in, I guess can log in. I don't have a problem with that. Okay, let's go to documentation, SDKs. Yeah, they still don't have like a Python. I mean, in Node SDK. I still don't have a Node SDK, so I guess we'll just use the API reference. So what I also, I mean, the other alternative, if we don't want to use Data Lab, is to, so maybe just to give you context, what some of the things that Data Lab actually offers is that you can actually extract data from your document, whatever document that you upload, right? I know um, there are other free services or APIs that you can use um, to extract data from a document. But the thing is, I don't remember which package I was using, but then the thing is, that package was struggling with if maybe a document has like um, special characters, right? So that thing, yeah, that package was struggling with extracting special special characters like from a document, which is a downside because some documents might have like special characters for sure. Like if maybe you have like a mathematics equation, and also if maybe you have like a diagram, it might be a geometry diagram, it might be maybe a science diagram or an accounting chart or whatever diagram or a picture that you have like on your document. Data Lab actually handles that like seamlessly. So what it does is that it actually extracts those diagrams. Then after extracting those diagrams, it returns a what's this thing again? A yeah, it returns that file or a blob. That blob. Then what you can do is that you can upload if you want to use those diagrams, like you can upload those on your data store. Then yeah, there's a couple of things that you can do like after uploading that on your data store. So it's it's pretty it's a good tool. Like I've used it before. It's a good tool. And I mean the other alternative uh, that one can use is something called what is it called? Is it called Marker? Yeah, Marker. Yeah, it's also created by Data Lab. So actually, what Data Lab does is they are running this Marker under the hood. Then obviously they do uh, provide other features like on top of this Marker. So what it does, like with Marker, it's a Python um, solution that you can actually run it locally. Then it exposes like an endpoint. Then you can just send data to that endpoint, and the date, and I mean the endpoint itself will return whatever data that you're looking. So, so if you can see, like it does like a lot of things, like convert like a PDF image, uh, yeah, whatever file type it is, it does convert that. Also extract and save images. You know, you can remove if you don't want to like populate unnecessary data to your database, like things like your header, footer. You can remove that. It's actually cool, but I think I'm not gonna go for this because this might chow my GPU, locally. So I'll just go for Data Lab. I think I still have a couple of credits on Data Lab. Let's see, let's log in. I think I still do have a couple of credits. Yeah, I still have. Yeah, I still have like $2, or maybe if we can round it to the nearest number, then it's going to be like $3. So I still have $3 for dev. I can work with this $3. And actually how it extract data, maybe let me just show you one of the document that I actually did. So you can, obviously when you are uploading that file, right, you can specify as to um, I want my output to be a JSON format, or I want like an HTML or a Markdown. I prefer JSON, especially if I want to create vector embeddings, like using this data. You can actually, it's like enough data for you to create like vector embeddings. And for sure, when you are creating vector embeddings with data like this, you have to strip out, things like your div, because it's an HTML, right? So you need to strip out things like your div or these HTML tags, or rather I prefer it that way, like stripping out like HTML tags if I want to create like vector embeddings. And it also returns like, like it returns pretty cool data. If maybe your page consists of what's this, of images, if there's images, uh, let's find, what, but basically all the extracted images will be on, I think this is an array of images. Yeah, it's actually an array of images. So if you want to do like similarity check and also return like diagrams, you can actually save those images like on your database. Then when you are doing similarity checks, um, you can also return like an image to say, okay, fine, you can also look at this diagram for more information. So yeah, it's a pretty cool service, or rather it's a pretty cool solution that, yeah, I'm going to make use of it. But anyway, let's have a look at what Mr. Cloud Code did. So now let's go back here. Let's go back here. Okay, plan. Upload file to R2 and save to context DB. All right. Context, it's whatever context that we gave it to. Then we'll install AWS SDK client S3 and pre-signer, right? Okay. Then what's next? This is a convex function. Get upload URL, right? Unique key, we generate that using crypto. S3 client, blah, blah, blah. This is actually getting the file that you have uploaded, which kind of makes sense because we don't want to expose files as public. We want like your files to be hidden from users that, yeah, to be hidden from other users. So we'll have to generate like a file, I mean a URL. No, it's actually uploading. So we create like an upload URL that we are going to use in the client side to upload that. Yes, makes sense. Then we have a mutation, which is basically responsible for creating a file record uh, that will make use of the storage key, which is coming from Cloudflare R2. Right. Security note on create resource. Mutation cannot call uh, context run query on component tables. Only functions can. The org member is validated in blah, blah, blah. Okay, fair enough. Then on the upload file, or rather upload resource dialog, get that. Right. I mean, it looks good. It looks perfect. So let's press yes. Yes, install. Right. And there we go. Going to create like a signed URL action. I actually doubt if this will work. I mean, by the look of things, I doubt. There we go. We have our first error. Actually doubt if this will work. Right, cool. So I guess we need to get these credentials, then set them to convex environment variables, because with convex, like functions and queries, actually they don't read environment variables from the .env file, but rather you need to set them like on your environment variables on the dashboard. So I guess now this is the point where I have to hide my screen for a couple of minutes so that I can get all the credentials that I need. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just, or rather what I'm doing right now is just logging in on Cloudflare so that I can get the account ID and also get the client ID and the secret ID. That's basically what I'm doing right now. But obviously I don't want you guys to see my environment variables, or else someone is gonna abuse those environment variables and I might end up getting charged by Cloudflare, which is not what I want, obviously. uh, I even forgot my password. When last did I log in on Cloudflare? Did I just forgot my password right now? That's funny. It's funny. Cool. Now let's get those credentials. Okay. Storage R2 object storage. So let's start with client ID, right? R2 client ID. So just have to do this. Open bash. Let's clear this. Then this is the part where I hide my screen again. Okay. Okay, so one down, three more to go. Now we need access key. Let's look for that access key. I don't know, like with access key, do you get it like on the bucket? No. Access key. Okay, I have to. Okay, cool. Let me just do this. Edit. Done. Read, write. Update access key. But then now the thing is, where do I get this access key, man? Cloudflare, get it. Okay, let me just create like a new access key. I'm sure. Let's say, sure we can crack this. The machines just need read and write. Then we create an API token. Sorry. There we go. Now we have our access key. We also have our secret access key. We have our access key ID. Then we have a secret access key, which is what we are looking for. So I have to set them. No, man, I think, man, okay. Access key, okay, cool. Now we are on the right track. Okay, so let's copy this. Here, that. Oh, just give me a minute, I'll be back. Okay, cool. So access key ID, great. Then secret key. Secret key. Also need a bucket name, I guess. Now let's have to create a new bucket. Just have to, let's see. You want just one last thing. So I just want to confirm if those environment variables were created. Okay, cool. So yeah, I saw a couple of errors, which let's see, resource API resource complex resources. Let's see, resources doesn't exist. Interesting. API dot. Okay, resources doesn't exist. Oh, isn't something? Organization. We have both. Let's see, generated API. Yeah. So so those were not generated, right? So maybe let's try do this convex dev. Do this. If this doesn't resolve the issue, then there's a misconfiguration somewhere. Yeah, it's actually a misconfiguration somewhere. Finding resource is a mutation function. Only functions can be defined in Node.js. I think we need to, let's say, resource, which is Node.js. Maybe we might need to remove that. Actions. Right, let me just copy this. So what was the issue? So mutations can't live in a use node file. Need to split into two files, the action and the mutation. Okay. So all mutations can't live in a node file, which is basically a file with a use node tag, but actions require use node. I think it's something that I have to find out on Convex documentation just to understand better, because this might be very useful. So I guess let's run Convex dev again. Cool. That's looking good. And those TypeScript errors were resolved. Because obviously resources and also resource actions were not generated. So yeah, that's looking good. I guess this is the part where we have to test, but before we even test, we have there's something that we have to configure. We need to create a course policy. Does a course policy like? I know with that, with this policies, right? I think it, yeah, yeah, it's basically this. You need to have the origin. Obviously, this is for testing purposes, so we'll only allow localhost 3000 for now. But then on a production environment, this won't be localhost 3000. Um, so create this. Hey man, it's basically going to be this. Can save. Now we can go back here, refresh. Just see that everything was bundled and optimized. Okay, cool. Create, upload. Let's just upload. But then now the issue is that the upload button is disabled, which means the form validation is not working as expected, because we have the file name, we have the description, not the description, but rather the display name, but The upload file is disabled. I upload have selected a file. The display name is populated as expected. Expected. I've uploaded a file. A file of size that is less than 10 MB, and the display name is populated as expected, but the upload button is still disabled. I think the validation, the form validation is not working properly. Okay. Let me also check this thing over here. Yeah, it looks vibe coded. Actually looks vibe coded. Because we need to wrap this inside a controller. That's the first red flag that I see. We need to wrap this inside a controller coming from, which is actually gonna come from React form hooks. Because with that controller, uh, your validations are more reactive, right? Because it seems like the form itself, the validation, like on the form itself, is not reactive. That's why when everything checks out, the button itself is not reacting to the form validation by the look of things. Um, Now this thing is creating a mess. Trigger with no argument revalidates. Yeah, that's the thing. Uh, let's first check if it's working. Yeah, it is working, but the code itself is a bit of a mess. Um, okay, let's upload. Resource uploaded. Checked. Fresh. Uploads. What? What? Okay. I see what it's doing. So it's actually, let me validate that. I think it's using the organization name, which is the workspace, and also the user ID, because I think there are two folders there. So after uploading, it creates like a new folder, which is uploads, right? Then create another folder, which is it's probably the organization ID. Let me check. Resources. No, it's actually the resource ID. Say KD 63. No, it's not. Nope. Nope. It's not the resource ID. It can't be the resource ID. Organization KD 63 KS. And it's also it's not the organization ID as well. It's probably the user ID. KD, actually, no, it's a generated ID. It's actually generated. KD, blah, blah, blah. Another one. Yeah. Ah, this doesn't look good. This right here doesn't look good. Let's see actions. It's storage key. It's the organization ID, a generated ID, which is, let's see, what's this ID? Okay, it's this, which is generated from using crypto. Then the file name. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. So now, let's just do this check later. Okay. Good. Resource functionality and this file. Cool. I mean, this looks good, but we have a problem here. It's actually a linting problem. We don't care. Maybe let's try another one. Let's try another one. Let's try a small file. I don't need to upload like a large file. Okay, cool. Let's see, uploading. Resource uploaded. If we go back here, fresh. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. This is great. Now, yes, we. I think the next thing right now display is to display the file. Um, yeah, to display the resources. So, so we have a code, a couple of things that we might need. Stack, need 10 stack table. So we need to install this. Need 10 stack table because it's either we display, I mean, we are going to display this in a table format or in a grid format. So it's going to be like a list or a grid. Is it a grid? Yeah, list and grid. List and grid, yeah. Something like that. For view, for solid, and we are using React, obviously. C sharp CN. I know with shared CN UI, they no longer maintain the data table. Wait, maybe it's no longer maintained. Because the last time I checked out this, this was no longer maintained. Okay, fine, let's do this. So let's install shared CN tables. Then React table, 10 stack React table. Yep. Okay. So now go to plan mode. Let me actually check something. Skills. Available skills. Okay, close. We have shared CN. Convex. Tailwind. But we don't have skills. Stack start. Bracket skills. Talk start is module. Interesting. Score again skills. Still not there. I might have to restart Claude in order for me to get those skills. So let's go to play mode. The next feature is to display resources. The user can view their coded resources in a list and grid format. The layout use stack start and stack react table with shared CNUI table. List layout, code for grid layout, make sure we follow best practices. So pin stack table handles pagination, but for cards, you will have to do pagination using infinity scroll pagination. Thing that I hate about um, generating code without like a good and well structured code base is that Lord will always get uh, uh, your structure wrong, you know. And the thing is, I don't have like a fully defined structure as to we want to structure our components like this and like this, um, which I know for sure. For some reason, Claude is gonna get it wrong. That I know it's gonna get it wrong, but that's not an issue as long as the functionality is working as expected. Then that will definitely be a good start. But now the issue will come when we want to have like a well structured code base, which is basically something that I prefer. I prefer something that is well structured, um, unlike having like a code base where everything is just all over the place. Um, yeah. And also, I think just that obviously it's going like what I'm thinking right now, it's going to consume my time. But I think the best thing as well is to create a markdown file with all the features that I need so that each and every time when Claude is generating code, that's where like it's going to get reference from those markdown files. Obviously, the first thing, create like a Claude markdown file or an agent markdown file. Then always make sure that when generating code, Claude will let's see, wait, oh gosh, this use effect. This is not going to be yeah, I just feel like this use effect is going to be a problem. Okay. Source infinity. Okay, so modify resource, um, queries, add list resources, paginated query. Yeah, that's what we need. React query hook, use resources. Right, not bad. Then create resource table. Okay, resource grid, which is going to be a card with infinity scroll. Perfect. Then we'll also have an index file which is going to wrap these two layouts, which is the grid and the list. Makes sense. But before we even go further, it will be useful to also include search functionality so that I know that this query, right, which is a paginated query, must also take like a search text as a props, because we don't want like a different query to handle like the search functionality, but this list resources will handle the pagination and also the search. So I think that's actually a good idea to do it at the same time. So we also need a search functionality. We can make use of the same list resources, query, but yeah, I think that's all. That's all we need. That's basically all we need right now. So Claude actually agrees with me that we have to make use of the same, which is not rocket science, obviously. I mean, yeah, we have to make use of the same query to handle the search and the pagination. But I wonder how it's going to work, because with React table, I know that the search functionality is actually handled on the client side, unless if maybe there's a flag that you put that you have to indicate on the client side that we have to use the server side to search. Because I think at on this case, or in this case, we actually have to use the server side to handle the search and the pagination. Because I saw something indicating that, like on the table, like when we define table, yeah, manual pagination true. Yes, this is correct. Manual pagination true, which is going to use the server side pagination, not the client side. Because with the client side pagination, right, you get the whole data, then you render the data, but on the view itself, you strip it to maybe five. Then when you paginate, you don't make another call. You just you just increment the, what do you call this? You just increment the actual, not increment, but then you just add a number of rows you need on top of the initial rows. Yeah. Which is a downside if you have a lot of data. It's actually a downside because, let's say, for instance, you have like 2000 data on that particular data table, then which means now when you land on the page itself, you are going to get like all the data. It's a downside. So I think handling that like on the server side, I mean handling pagination on the server side kind of makes sense because yes, you can indicate like on initial load, I want to get like maybe 20 or 50 rows. When we paginate to the next, then give me another 50, then top it up on the initial 50 that I had, which it, yeah. Lord is cooking. Let's see what you are cooking. So now it's creating a card. And I just hope it's not going to be those, cards that that actually looks like AI generated cards in terms of like design. Because, with AI, like AI actually has its own design. If you find like a purple gradient and those funny emojis, I just know that it's AI. Now, I'm very worried with this. Uh, this use effect. Very worried. Yeah, it's not make sure that one. Mm-mm. Okay, now let's see. We lie. No resources yet. Come on. Do have a couple of resources, man. Do have a couple of resources. What do you mean? Oh, I think I know what the issue is. We actually have to converge first. Yeah, because we have to redeploy those functions. Hmm, damn it. What did I do? What did I convex to? Did you forget to run? Could not find function for da da da. Okay, interesting. Something that I did wrong here. Did you forget to run? No, I didn't forget. That's what I actually did. Run convex dev. That's actually what I did. Unless if I have to run deploy instead of dev. So I think with deploy, it actually deploys like new functions. With dev, it generates, not sure, but okay, functions are ready. Blah, blah, blah. Cool. Actually works. Okay, now let's go back here. Okay, there we go. Nice. And then chord. Ah, at least the chords are not, doesn't, they don't look like, those um LLM generated design. They actually look good. I mean, actually look good. Um, I like it. Actually like it. With this buttons, we can actually opt for group buttons instead of just using these buttons. Or instead of just using like a single button, we can use like group buttons. They kind of look good in the eye of the user. Okay. I mean, oh, I forgot the search. And also the search needs to be at the far right. It doesn't have to be next to the heading of the page. It doesn't make sense. Okay, I'll do that when I come back. Just give me a minute, I'll be back. Right. So I was actually saying that, okay, this needs to be group buttons. Let's see, do we have group buttons? Check buttons, yes. This is what we need. Install this guy. Separator. Nope. Use button group. I read and list switcher. So the search input must be at the right. I'm actually not too sure about this debounced search that is actually making use of use effect. Um, I think there's a better way to handle that. Because I don't know if you recall a time where Cloudflare actually went down because of a use effect that was used incorrectly. So it actually went down because of a use effect. I think it was last year. Yeah, so sometimes, these use effects are not actually good. This is fine. And yeah, this looks better, I guess. Um, Actually looks better. Obviously, there's a lot of cleaning up that we have to do. It's a lot of cleaning up. Yeah, this guy over here. It's probably a good way to handle this. I like to believe that, I guess. Let's see it some other time. All right, now we have this. And this looks good. It's why is it pending? Okay. think then, yeah, tomorrow what we're going to work on is extracting data from the files. So when you upload, which it kind of makes sense why this is pending, because the main idea is that you upload, we then store the actual file on R2 bucket, then save the metadata of that file, which is just the name, the display name, and also the storage key. Then the next step now is to extract data from the file itself. Then after extracting data, we create vector embeddings using those extracted data and an embedding LLM, which obviously I'll make use of OpenAI. There's an OpenAI embedding what 002 large, which is a vector embedding large LLM. So we'll make use of that. Then after that, store our vector embeddings on convex data base. Let's see, convex data or vector. Oh, let's maybe there might be a good way to handle this, you know. Might be a good way to. Okay, PM convex rec. Interesting. Build AI agents with. Okay, that's interesting. P. Let me just see how
See
it
this
looks
diff?
like.
Hundreds of lines of nasty complexity gone. Swap for a few simple lines, my AI bot now skims hundreds of documents in milliseconds. Meet Convex's new RAG component. In this video, I'll show you how to drop it into your project and upgrade your AI search without writing hardly any code. So in the next few minutes, you'll learn to ingest docs with just one action, run vector-based search with a relevance threshold, and wire it into any agent or tool. All right, so stick around and make sure you like and subscribe, as deleting code has never felt this good. Okay, first up, I'm going to assume you have a Convex project running. If not, check out the Convex docs to how to get started here. Now let's install our agent component with npm install at convexdev/rag. Oh, and by the way, if you aren't familiar with Convex components yet, they're basically like small Convex apps that live inside your app but are sandboxed so that they can't interfere with your tables or functions. Anyway, so once you've installed the component, you can go ahead and tell Convex you want to use it by creating a convex.config.ts file in your Convex directory and put something in it like this. Here we define an app and tell it to use our RAG component. And once we've done that, we can go ahead and create an instance of the RAG class like this. So here we create an instance of the RAG object and we're going to tell it what model we want to use for the embeddings. And if you aren't familiar with embeddings, they're kind of like really compressed searchable representation of some text. And we're going to tell it like this. So here we create an instance of the RAG object.
I mean, the nice thing is that maybe yeah, you actually bring your own provider. I thought maybe I have to use like their provider, isn't their LLM provider, but it seems like you bring your own provider. In this case, OpenAI, uh, using like AI SDK. In my case, I prefer what's this thing? I prefer Open Router.
And we're going to tell it what
So
model we want to use for the embeddings. And if you aren't familiar with embeddings, they're kind of like really compressed searchable representation of some text. So you can create one of these embeddings and then use AI to find something that's similar in meaning rather than literal text matching in your given text. So in this case, we're going to be using the OpenAI Text Embedding 3 model here, which has 1,536 dimensions, but you could use any model that the AI SDK supports. And you can
okay.
see a list of those supported models on the AI SDK docs page. And don't forget just at this point that you need to set the appropriate API key in your convex environment variables if you want any of this to work. Okay, so now we have a component set up, we need to go ahead and insert some documents so then we can later search over them. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to use my blog post as the thing we're going to search over, but it doesn't have to be this, it could be any source of text you like. So as you can see here, inside of this action, we're calling the rag.add function, which has a number of parameters. The first is going to be the namespace for this entry. And namespace is really useful for segmenting your documents, like by some category, for example, user. But in this case, all the documents belong to one user, me, the blog post author, so I'm just going to use a constant value here. Next up is the title of the blog post and the key that we want to use to identify it later. In this case, I'm using the slug, which is basically the ID of the blog post. Then we have the content hash and the text of the post itself. The title, key, and content hash are optional, but if you provide them, they're used to check if the document has changed if you were to call this function again. If it hasn't changed, then it won't do anything. Otherwise, it will update the entry for you. All right, enough waffle. Let's take this bad boy for a spin by opening up the Convex dashboard, navigating to the Functions tab, selecting our function, and entering some arguments. And huzzah! It works! And if we want to have a look at the Data tab, we can select the RAG component for the drop-down here and see all the tables belonging to the component. So here we have the entries, which is our blog posts. We have our hash, our key, title, etc. Then we have the chunks and the contents table. Actually, we'll just pause here because this is something that's probably important to talk about. Earlier, I mentioned that you can think of embeddings as a compressed representation of a blog post. Well, because a blog post can be quite long, we might not be able to represent all of the concepts within the post within a single embedding array. Thus, we need to break the blog post down into separate chunks where each chunk has its own embedding. So naturally, how you choose how big or small these chunks are going to be is up to you and depends on the kind of text you are putting into the RAG component. I'll leave some resources down below though to help you choose the length of your chunks. But if we just hop back into the code for a second, you'll see that I haven't chosen to supply my own chunks array here. And instead, I've opted just to let the component itself use its own default chunking algorithm for me. So then if we now have a look at the data in the dashboard again, we can see that there are a number of chunks here, which each have an embedding and a reference to a row in the content table here. By the way, this is a minor convex tip, but you can split your data up into separate tables like this, which will reduce the bandwidth that's read when you're performing queries on convex tables. This keeps things nice and efficient and costs down. Right, anyway, speaking of search, I think it's now time to implement some search. So let's hop back into the code and create our RAG search function. All right, so this should be pretty self-explanatory. We use the RAG component to search into our blog post namespace with the query that we pass in as an argument. And if we pop open the dashboard again and we click our search function, we can enter a query like AI and education, and we should very quickly see our search results. And we can see in the output here that the RAG component is going to give us a list of entries that match, including some of the text from the document. And then a bit lower down, we're also going to get this array here, which contains all the chunks that were actually matched and associated relevance score, which is super cool because you can actually pass in a vector score threshold here so that if any chunk is less than this score, then it will be excluded from the search. Now, there are a bunch of other parameters that we can add to the search here, such as filters, but this video could get too long if I went to all of those. So do check out the excellent documentation if you're looking for more control and option. Okay, so I think the final piece of the puzzle here is to integrate it into the Convex agent component. If you aren't familiar with the agent component, then check out this video that I did recently on it. So the integration is pretty simple, to be honest. This is how I've done it for MikeBot, which is the AI agent that runs on my blog. I've just created a tool that the agent can use to call our action. The final piece of the puzzle for me is to write a little script that's going to insert all 600 plus of my blog posts into the RAG component. I won't go into all the details here. Feel free to check out the source code for my blog, which I've linked down below. All right, so let's try this out now. So if I pop open my blog and ask MikeBot, what has Mike written about around AI and education? We can see that the agent is going to use our search blog post tool, which is then going to call into the RAG component and return a nicely formatted message with a couple of links to posts. Super duper nice. All right, well, that's about it
Yeah, I
for this
think
video.
this is
There's so much more I could.
this is cool. I might use this. Yeah, I'll just have to go through the documentation, I guess. Then, if it's better than just wiring my own reg, then I'll use it. So yeah, I guess, yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. So yeah, thank you for watching my stream. I have to sign out right now. Cheers, bye.